The fluorescent lights in the tiny diner flickered as Mia wiped the counter for the 100th time that night. Her back ached, her hands were chapped, and her feet screamed in protest from hours of standing. It was past midnight, and the diner was empty except for the hum of the refrigerator. Maya glanced at her phone, 1:13 a.m. Her shift ended at 2, and she had just enough time to catch a few hours of sleep before getting her kids ready for school. As she reached for the rag, her phone buzzed. A text from her landlord, "Rent overdue. Last warning." Her heart sank. She put down the rag and slumped against the counter. How had life gotten so hard? Mia, a 32-year-old single mother of two, had always dreamed of running her own bakery. She could still remember the smell of cinnamon rolls baking in her grandmother's tiny kitchen. But dreams didn't pay the bills, and the reality of raising two kids on a waitress's income left little room for ambition. Still, she couldn't let go of the idea. Her kids deserved a better future, if only she had the time, the money, or the courage to start. The next morning, Mia walked her kids to school and returned home to find an eviction notice taped to her apartment door. The words blurred as tears filled her eyes. She had 30 days. That night, she stared at her reflection in the diner's greasy window. "What are you going to do, Mia?" she whispered. "You can't fail them." A regular customer, Mr. Jenkins, an elderly man with a kind smile, noticed her distress. "What's eating at you tonight?" he asked. Mia hesitated but opened up, sharing her fears and her dream of starting a bakery. To her surprise, Jenkins chuckled. "You know dreams don't work unless you do," he said. "Start small, make one thing, sell it. See what happens." His words stuck with her. That night she stayed up baking her grandmother's cinnamon rolls. The kitchen filled with the sweet, nostalgic aroma, and for the first time in years she felt a flicker of hope. The next morning she packed a dozen rolls in a box and brought them to the diner. When the lunch rush came, she offered them to customers for a small price. To her amazement, they sold out within an hour. Encouraged, she baked more the next night, and soon word spread. People came to the diner asking for Mia's rolls. But the journey wasn't smooth. There were days she burned batches, nights she wanted to give up, and mornings she woke up doubting herself. Her kids complained about the late nights, and her boss wasn't thrilled about her side hustle. One afternoon, a man in a tailored suit walked into the diner. He ordered a cinnamon roll and took a bite. "These are incredible," he said, handing her a business card. "I own a local cafe. We're looking for a supplier. Interested?" Mia froze, the card trembling in her hand. Was this real? She nodded, tears streaming down her face. Within a year, Mia had saved enough to start her own small bakery. It wasn't fancy, but it was hers. The smell of cinnamon rolls filled the air as her kids helped her at the counter, their laughter echoing through the shop. As Mia flipped the closed sign one evening, she looked at her kids and smiled. "We did it," she said softly. "Everyone has a dream, but sometimes fear and doubt keep us from starting. What's one small step you can take today toward your dream? Share your story in the comments. I'd love to hear how you're making it happen."